Gajananam Bhotaganati Sevitam Kapita Jambo Palasara Pakshitam Umasutam Shoka Vinasakaranam Namami Vigneshwara Pada Pankajam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Parabanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Sarvamangala Mangalye Shive Sarvata Sadike Saranye Trayambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Om Shri Matre Namaha Om Shri Annadhaya Namaha Om Shri Vasudhaya Namaha Om Shri Sachamar Ramavani Sabya Dakshina Sevitaya Namaha Om Shri Kataksha Kinkari Bhuta Kamala Kodi Sevitaya Namaha Om Shri Shiva Saktyaikya Rupinye Namaha Om Shri Lalitambikaya Namaha Om Shri 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 Shantananta Avaduta Sadgurave Namaha Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Shakti Om Parashakti Om Shakti Om Nama Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Namaskarams to all. Welcome to session number 3 in the Lalitha Sahasranamam series under the Vande Vidya Shankaram program of SPB of North USA. As you all know, today is Indian Independence Day. On this eventful day, let us pray to Lalitambika to win freedom from what? From ignorance and conflicts and attain peace in our mind. Om Shri Matre Namaha. With that little prayer, let us now move on to our session. I'm going to share the screen. In our last session, we covered the meanings of the Dhyana Slogam and verses up to 21, covering 54 namas of Devi. They included a detailed description of Amba's physical rupam in what we call Keshadi Pada Varnanai, that is from head to foot. Today, we'll start with the Dhyana Slogam. I'm going to show it on the slide in Sanskrit. You can also chant along with me. While doing that, please visualize Lalitha Devi. You see in the slide here, I'm showing these pictures because you must be able to visualize Devi Rupam in your mind and chant the slogam. So that is a good way of doing it. So let's go to the Dhyana Slogam. Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Maudi Spurate Taranayaka Shekaram Spitamukim Vapi Navakshoruham Arnibhyam Malipuna Ratna Sasakam Rakto Phalam Bipratim Saumyam Ratna Gadastharakta Charanam Jayet Param Ambikam Arunam Karuna Tarankitakshim Tisapasang Kusapuspa Bhana Chapam Anibadhi Ravrtam Mayukaihi Ragamitte Vibhavaye Bhavanim Jayet Padmasanastam Viksatavadanam Padmapatrayatakshim Hemabam Pitavastram Karakalitala Satyema Padmambarangim Svalankara yuktam satatam abhetam bhakta namram bhavanim Sri Vidyam Shantamurtim Sakala Sunutam Sarva Sambat Pradatrim Sa Kumkama Vilepana Malikuchumbi Kasturikam Samantahasite Chanam Sasara Chapa Pashankusham Asesha Jana Mohinim Marunamalya Bhushambaram Japa Kusuma Basuram Tapa Vidot Mare Ambikam. Such a beautiful Jnana slogam. If you visualize Ambal in that Rupam, then you are ready to start with the regular Stotram. We will now continue, starting from verse 22, Nama 55. In today's session, we will learn about Ambal's abode. So also her divine activities, which are leading to the killing of Vandasura, thus fulfilling the desires of Devas. So let us see. I'm going to recite this slokam and then give you the meanings also. Sumeru Madhya Sringastha Sriman Nagara Naika Chinta Mani Grihantastha Panchabrahmasana Sthita. Now, after the Devi's physical form description from head to foot earlier, this verse, it starts with the description of Sri Nagaram, which is Ambal's place of living or abode. From this verse, the narration of Ambal's abode begins until Nama 63. Ambal is omnipresent. So is also Vishnu. Vishnu itself means all-pervasive or omnipresent. So what does abode mean? Lord Shiva's abode is seen as Mount Kailash in the Himalayas. By saying that, we are able to visualize Shiva with the background of the big mountain, the Himalayas. Vishnu's abode is Vaikuntham, where he is seen in the middle of Kshilasagaram, the Milky Ocean, reclining on the bed of Adiseshan. Likewise, Ambal too has an abode to help us visualize. It is described in this verse. Devi dwells in the mid-peak of Mount Meru and also in the Bindu, which is the central circle of bliss in Sri Chakra. The very first line, the first word itself reads as Sumeru Madhya Sringastha. What does it mean? It means Ambal lives on the beautiful middle peak of Mount Sumeru. Where is Sumeru? Mount Meru is a mystical, it's a sacred five-peaked mountain, which is referenced in many of the Hindu scriptures. It is considered to be the center of the spiritual universe, not visible to normal eyes. Why Sumeru? In Sanskrit, the prefix su is kind of adjective, like excellent or wonderful to the word. Like you say, swagatam and suswagatam. Welcome and sweet welcome. Prabhatam, suprabhatam. Priya, supriya. Praja, supraja. Su makes the noun beautiful. So, Sumeru means beautiful Meru. Madhya, you all know the meaning. Madhya means it's the middle. Sringam is referring to the peak of a mountain. It also means the horns of animals, Sringam, right on top, so peak. So, as a great Devi Upasaka and Sanskrit scholar, Bhaskaraya, who wrote the Bhashyam for Lalitha Sahasranamam, first Bhashyam, gives different perspectives of slokas in Saubhagya Bhaskaram. Bhaskaraya quotes from Lalitha Savaratna, which is a scripture authored by the great sage Durvasa. Durvasa Maharshi is believed to have worshipped Vishnu Durgai in my ancestral village of Maharajapuram. He worshipped Devi to cure himself of a disease. In fact, there is an idol of him in the temple itself, and there you have an inscription that Durvasa Maharishi worshipped here. He quotes, Bhaskaraya quotes, verses 2 to 4 of this Lalitha Savaratna, which describes Lalitha Devi's abode and his worship of it. I am going to read out just only the verse number 2, which is so beautiful and describes the mountain Meru as golden. Sa Jayati Suvarna Shailaha Sakala Jagat Chakra Sankatita Murtihi Kanchana Nikunchavati Kantala Damari Prapancha Sangeetaha Sa Jayati Suvarna Shailaha. Suvarna means gold, Shailam means mountain, Sri Shailam, Sa Jayati means let the golden mountain be victorious. Sakala Jagatsak Sankarita Murtihi, whose body itself is made up of the whole universe. Kantala Dabari Prapancha Sangeetaha. It is filled with music, divine music from divine women. Kanchana Nikunchavati, living in the golden creepers of mountain peak. What it means is let the golden mountain be victorious, whose body is made up of the whole universe, filled by the melodious music of the divine ladies living in the golden creeper bowers of mountain peak. The same one, verse 3 says, we salute the 3 peaks of this Meru, which are the seats of Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. And verse 4 says, in the middle of them, there is another peak, which is 400 yojanas in height, beautifying the place by the golden rays of flowers, and I worship it. That is the description given by sage Durvasa. The next word in this verse reads Sriman Nagara Nayaka. It means Ambal is the ruler of this beautiful city of Srinagar. We have seen the different meanings of Sri in the last lesson. Here Sri means wealth. Nagara means city, Nagar. Nayika means ruler. Nayaka, Nayika. There are different interpretations to the city of Srinagar. Bhaskaraya says cities are of 2 kinds. One is on the middle peak of Mount Meru, which we described earlier. It is believed to have been constructed by Devas. The second city is the one beyond universe in Ireland. It is called Ratnadvipam. Bhaskaraya quotes another text from Vidyaratna Bhashya, which says there is also another city in the midst of the ocean of milk, Kshirasagaram. The second city of Srinagar is outside and beyond all the worlds, in the islet of gems. Ratna means gems, Ratnadvipa, in the middle of the ocean of nectar. This city of Srinagar has got 25 outer corridors. Each one is built with different metals such as iron, brass, silver, gold, panchalogam, and also gems of different kinds like pearls, emeralds, sapphire, topaz, ruby, and so on. It has also got several abodes for deities like Shamala Devi, Varahi, Yoginis, and Tara Devi, Dikpalakas, Varuni, Kurukula Devi, and so on. At the center of this is the Chintamani Griham, referred to in the next line which is coming. Chintamani. In the Vidyaratna Bhashya, this beautiful city is also explained as 3 chakra. It means chakra means city, house or abode, meaning Nagara, and chakra are one and the same. The Devi devotees are very familiar with Sri Chakram, also called the Sri Yantra. Yantra means a device, Yantram, a machine. But here, it's a mystical diagram having a complex geometry of circles, squares, and triangles, which is used in Shakti worship. There are various interpretations and many figures that represent Sri Chakra. It is mainly in 3 types, single dimensional plane, pyramidal, and also kind of spherical. The worship of Devi in this Sri Chakra is regarded as the highest form of Devi worship. The chakra is formed by 9 interlocking triangles that radiate from the center. It represents the goddess as Tripura Sundari, and also Shiva Shakti Aikyam, the union of Shiva and Shakti, which is the central focus in Lalitha Sahasranamam. Now, Adi Shankara, he installed Sri Chakra in many important temples, including the one in Tiruvanakaval, Akhilanteshwari. And Sri Chakra is an important aspect of Shakti worship. There is a beautiful song that goes like Sri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari, Sri Lalitambike Bhuvaneshwari, which is said to be composed by sage Agastya himself. Agastya and Ayagara Samvadam, Lalita Sahasranam ensure. It is composed of Sanskrit as well as Tamil verses. I am going to give you a sample of this song, which is going to be sung by my Dharma Patni Vidya. I'll give you one stanza in Sanskrit and one stanza in Tamil, so that you understand the beauty of it. Over to Sri Vidya.
Sri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari Lalitambikaye Bhuvaneshwari Sri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari Lalitambikaye Bhuvaneshwari Agama Veda Kalamaya Rupini Agama Veda Kalamaya Rupini Akila Chara Chara Janani Narayani Akila Chara Chara Janani Narayani Naghakam Nataraj Manohari Naghakankhana Nataraj Manohari Jnana Vidyeshwari Rajarajeshwari Jnana Vidyeshwari Rajarajeshwari Sri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari Lalitambikaye Palavidamayi unnai padavum maadavum Palavidamayi unnai padavum maadavum பாடிக்கொண்டாடுவம் பதமலசூடவோ பாடிக்கொண்டாடுவம் பதமலசூடவோ உலகம் முழுதுமே அதமுறத்தாடவோ உலகம் முழுதுமே அதமுறத்தாடவோ ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஒரு நிலை தருவாய் காஞ்சி காமேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ சக்கரராஜ சிம்மாசனேஸ்வரி ஸ்ரீ லலிதாம்பிகையே புவனேஸ்வரி
Wonderful song. What a beautiful song. What a beautiful composition. It's something really absolutely great, fantastic. So, moving on, the next line, as I said, Chintamani Grihantastha Pancha Brahma Sadasthita. Chintamani Grihantastha, it means one who is residing in the house built of Chintamani. Chintamani is it's a jewel stone. You know, it is like Kalpaka Vrisham. It gives you whatever you want. Just imagine, it's a single stone. Chintamani gives you whatever you want. Just imagine Ambal residing in a house built of Chintamani stones. It is living in the city of wealth, in a house of generous Chintamani stones. So Devi gives you anything that you ask. So reciting Lalitha Sahasranamam serves as a kalpaka vriksham in granting your desires. Pancha Brahma Sanasthita. She is sitting upon a seat formed by 5 Brahmas. Pancha Brahma. Who are these 5 Brahmas? Let's see the picture on the side. There is a beautiful couch. The mattress is Sadashiva. She is sitting on Sadashiva himself. And the 4 supports you find of the couch are Brahma, Hari, Rudra, and Shiva, Isana. The Supreme Lalitha Devi is seen seated majestically like a royal queen over these 5 Brahmas, representing Panchakrityas. I mentioned about this earlier, that she is performing 5 functions. And she is here sitting on these Pancha Brahma Sanasthita. So that is the meaning of these first 2 verses. Going on further, let's go to the next verse 23, which is below. You can read it. I have given it both in Sanskrit as well as in English transliteration. If somebody doesn't know Sanskrit, you can read the bottom line. Mahapadmadavi samstha kadamba vanavasini sudha sagara madhyastha kamakshi kamadayini. Devi lives in a grove of trees called Kadamba Vanam. So she is described as Kadamba Vanavasini. In that forest, there are many lotus blooms. Maha Padma Tavi Samstha. Residing in the great forest full of big lotuses. Not just big. Maha means giant really, like Mahadeva, Mahavishnu, it's all giant. In general, you find Hinduism, the lotus flower represents spiritual enlightenment, growth, purity. As I mentioned before, in Sanskrit, one object can be defined by many words. So the lotus got many names like Saroja, Padma, Neeraja, Pankaja, Kamala, Ambuja, Pankadakshini, Abja, Sindhuja, and so on. Here the lotus is called Mahapadmadavi. Mahapadmam is no ordinary lotus. It means a giant lotus. The 1000-petal lotus called Sahasranamam Padmam. You see the picture there, such a beautiful, extremely beautiful. The most important thing about lotus is that even after growing in murky waters, it is untouched by the impurity of water. It remains beautiful. The water below is murky, but it remains beautiful on top. So it is a symbolic of the fact that human being struggling in the dirty waters of samsara can still emerge into a superior being, pure being like a lotus. Puranas say that lotus emerged from the navel of Lord Vishnu. Lotus is a symbol of Lakshmi and prosperity. Muthuswami Dikshidhar has composed a beautiful song on Amba. Kanchadalayadakshi Kamakshi Kamala Manokari Tripura Sundari Kanchadalayadakshi. What a beautiful song. Kancham means lotus, Akshi means eye. Dalam means the petal. One who has the eyes like a lotus petal. It's composed in Kamala Manohari Ragam. Such a beautiful song. So, Lalita Sahasranam describes Ambal again in another sloka. Sahasdala Padmastha Sarva Varlopi Sobita. She who sits in 1,000-petal lotus, she who shines in all colors, Sarva Varnopi Sobhita. Sahasra, Sahasrara is a word that is used in yoga. It also means 1,000 petals. In yogic tradition, the seventh chakra is located near the crown of the head. It actually represents a 1,000-petal lotus flower. Let me clarify something about yoga here. It's a common misunderstanding as we see hundreds of yoga centers sprouting everywhere. Yoga is not just a system confined to a set of physical exercises. It is much more than that. The mightiest power in human beings is the power of thought. Yoga has a big impact on the mind. What does yoga mean? Yoga itself means union, arising from the word used to join. Join what? Join the Jivatma with Paramatma. Your small Atma with the big Atma. Patanjali, who is the author of Yoga Shastra, talks a lot about the significance to controlling and harnessing the power of mind to achieve bliss as a true yogi. Physical exercises like asanas are a very small part of the Yoga Shastra. The human body has got many chakras or energy centers through which the cosmic energy flows up. Through yoga, you can awaken those inner dormant energy centers and you can achieve peace, harmony, and happiness within yourself. It is said that the Kundalini Shakti lies dormant, coiled up like a serpent at the base of the human body, and through rigorous yogic practices, this Shakti can be awakened. You can send it up through the main nerves of the body, or Sushumna Nadi, the central path, through other chakras until it reaches the highest chakras. What is Sahasrara, crown chakra? This, of course, is a most difficult process practiced by yogis, and once you achieve that awakening, you have mystical experience of producing what you call extremely profound transformation of consciousness. So that is the Sahasrara meaning that you have. Sudha Sagara Madhyastha, which is meaning residing in the center of the ocean of nectar. Kamakshi Kamadayini, she who has beautiful eyes. Kamakshi, the main goddess in Kanchipuram. Kamadayini, who grants all wishes. She gives you. Is it true that Devi gives really all the wishes, grants wishes? Somebody can raise a question on that. But many people, including me and some of my friends, have really experienced it. History shows that many devotees have received Amba's blessings by prayers. I want to give you some examples just to illustrate. Starting from the great poet Kalidasa, who lived in 5th century. He was a mere shepherd. He knew nothing, no education, nothing. A village shepherd. He became an instant kavi by blessings of Devi. He composed the first beautiful verse called Shamala Dandakam. You must have heard about it in praise of Devi. It goes, Anikavinam Upalalayanti Madalasam Manjulavadvilasam Mahakendra Komalagi Matanka Kanya Sasmarati Durbuje Chandra Kanabatante Uchonate Esune Undre What a beautiful composition just on instant blessings from Kali. That's why he called Kalidasa. And he authored many Mahakavyas, big stories, Kumara Sambhava. Kumara meaning Kartikeya. Sambhava is instant. Kartikeya's birth. Raghuvamsha, the dynasty of Raghu. Second is, of course, Bhaskar Raya, whom I have been mentioning very often, who lived between 1690 to 1785. barely about 300 years back. And he was from Maharashtra during the reign of King Sarpoji of Tanjavur, who was a Maratha king. He invited him and gave him a village next to my ancestral village of Maharajapuram. It is also gifted by Maharaja. He gave him a village which is called Bhaskara Rajapuram, where he lived. There are still some lands in his name, Bhaskara. He is considered an authority of Devi worship, and he wrote over 40 different works, including the Bhashyam and Lalitha Sahasranamam. It is said the meanings of these were revealed by Devi herself to Bhaskar Raja. He has performed so many miracles. A temple of Bhaskareshwara and a mandap that has been built in his honor at this village. If you get a chance, do visit it in India. The third one I want to give you example is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who lived between 1836 and 1886 after Bhaskar Raya, 19th century. He was a mere ordinary priest at the Dakshineshwar Kali temple. He didn't have any formal education, but he had intense devotion to Mother Kali. And he spent hours in adoration of her image. He forgot his priestly duties. He did not write any book. He did not deliver any public lectures. He chose to speak in very simple language, using parables and metaphors to illustrate the point. But he had a very famous disciple. Who was it? Swami Vivekananda, who visited Chicago, this city where I live now, in 1893, and he spoke brilliantly at the World Parliament of Religions. And he founded the well-known organization called as Ramakrishna Mission, which still exists and does a great job. See, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself. And the fourth example I want to give you is from South India. It's going to be a person by name Abhirami Pattar. I'm going to show you a slide on that, a story. He was one who received Devi's instant blessings. He lived around the same time as Bhaskar Raya during the reign of King Sarpoji. And his original name was Subramanian Shastri, Subramania Iyer. He was a priest at the local temple, Shiva temple, which is known as Amrita Gateshwara. Legend goes that Devas kept a pot of Amrita in Tirukadayur, and this pot became one with the land and became a Shiva Linga. So it's called Amrita Gateshwara. At this temple, it's believed that sage Markandeya prayed Lord Shiva and he avoided death from Yama forever. So people worship here at this temple for long life and perform Sadabhishekam. Abhirami is the goddess at this temple, which means she's always attractive. Now, this goddess is believed to fulfill wishes of all devotees. Subramania was not only a priest, but a great devotee who never used to think of anything else except Devi. This actually made him look like a madman, not thinking of anything. One day, King Sarpoji came there, the Maratha king, and came to pray at this temple. And normally you have Sankalpam, they ask you, what is the Tithi? So he asked Abhirama Pattar, what is the Tithi today? Meaning the face of the moon on that day. Abhirama was fully in a trance, in his trance, he was only looking at Devi's face, which looked like full moon. And he said it is full moon, Paurnami day, whereas actually it was Amavasya, no moon day. Though the king was visibly annoyed by this totally wrong reply, and he ordered that Subramania be executed by evening if full moon failed to rise. Now, after Subramania came out of the reverie, he erased mistake, instantly composed a very great divine song which is called Abhirami Andati. Andadi. Andadi. Anta Adi. Anta means end. Adi means beginning. In this style of poetry, the last word of the previous stanza, which is Antam or end, must be the first word of the next stanza. So Anta Adi. So the Antam of one verse becomes the Adi of the next one. It has got 101 verses. The beauty of this Antadi is the story behind it. Subramania, he completed 78 verses when dusk started setting in. While his own future was in darkness, he didn't know what is going to happen. At the 79th verse, the goddess Abhirami, she appeared in person, like you see in the slide here, and she threw her tatangam, or the diamond earring, into the sky. It shone brilliantly like a full moon, and everybody saw it, including the king. So, having seen the full moon, Subramania sang 22 more verses. The king felt very sorry at his mistake, having doubted such a saintly man, and he honored him with the title Abhirami Pattar. So each stanza of this poem, Abhirami Antadi, is a gem of a poetry in itself. And lastly, above all, you all know that Adi Shankara himself was a great devotee of Ambal, and his Saundara Lahari is an outstanding work on Devi. In Shankara's legacy, he is a great Sringeri Mutt that has Sharadamba as the main deity. So that is the greatness of Ambal's granting wishes. So let's go on to the next verse, which is Sotra 24. It starts beginning to describe many divine activities of Devi, right from this Sotra, or verse 24, up to 33. We hope to complete this entire series from 24 to 33 today, which is including activities of Devi up to the slaying of the demon Bandasura, creating of the 10 avatars, and revival of Manmathan, the god of love. In Lalitha Sahasranamam and also in Devi Bhagavatam, you will find Devi fighting with many asuras. Why is Devi shown with weapons and described as fighting the Rakshasas or asuras? Common question, right? One must understand a few basic things to better appreciate why Devi is holding weapons. You know, throughout history, good and evil always existed. There are good guys and there are bad guys. Even today, you find even in schools and community, the strong bodies, men or boys, harass the puny ones. There's always a fight between them. In Hinduism, we believe there are 4 yugas. And legends show that every yuga, there were fights between the good and the evil. In the earliest Satya or Krita Yuga, the fight was between Devas and Asuras, 2 classes of people. Almost all the Devas or Asura battles were held in Satya Yuga. The Puranas say that Vedas are stolen from Brahma by an Asura called Hayagriva, and they were hidden under the ocean. So Lord Vishnu took Matsya Avataram, like a fish, big fish, and retrieved it. In Varaha Avatara, he destroyed the Asura called Hiranyaksha, who also did the same thing, like hiding the Bhuma Devi or Mother Earth in the ocean. In Narasimha Avatara, he killed Hiranyakashipu and protected Prahlada. So that was the kind of thing which were happening in Satya Yuga, Krita Yuga. In next Yuga, Treta Yuga, the fight was between good and bad humans. For example, between Parashurama and Kshatriyas. Both were human beings. Between Rama and Ravana. In Dwapara Yuga, the fight was between members of the same family, cousins, the Kuru Vamsa, the Kauravas and Pandavas. They were cousins. They were fighting. And despite best effort by Krishna to patch up the differences, war was inevitable. So Krishna justifies it in the Bhagavad Gita. In the present Kali Yuga, where is the fight? Fight is within the minds of human beings, full of conflicts and sinful thoughts, the pulls of evil desires, greed, jealousy, and so on, tearing up human lives. These pulls within one's mind get shaped into destructive acts, like shootings and killings. In the previous yugas, the bad guys or asuras, they were visible, they were openly seen as aggressive. The good people either moved away or prayed Bhagavan to kill them and protect them. In the current Kali Yuga, these asuras are unseen. They are in the minds of people. So we don't know. It is very difficult to identify them because they are not visible. They look good. You can see. Don't we hear of shootings and killing in public places done by persons who are least known to be violent or suspected? What's the reason? It is because their minds became aggressive. Due to a variety of critical social issues, maybe single mom, depression, sufferings in childhood, whatever. How to really address such issues? Is law alone adequate? Our ancestors recommended a 4-step process, an approach to avoid conflicts and war situations. It's called Sama, Dhana, Beda, Danda. Sama, the first step is to talk and reach an agreement. Dhana is the second one, which means to give some gifts, please them, and make them kind of receptive to your talk. Beda refers to the use of logic, comparison. See, look what he done to influence the mind. And of all these three, finally the last step is Danda. Danda literally means stick, to apply force or armaments, wage a war. So the next lesson is weapons and war are required as the last step to win over evil. Let's assume you face a hungry lion in a forest. Can you say, look, lion, I am a pure vegetarian. I have never hurt any animal. Please don't kill me. You expect the lion will listen to you? Here the 4-step approach won't work. You have to either kill the lion or get killed. No options. Ahimsa does not work here. But look at the situation in the forest. There are millions of animals, stronger ones killing weaker ones for food. The lion kills a deer, the vulture kills the raccoon, the python strangles a goat, the alligator kills a big fish, and so on. Does this killing stop any activity? Animals continue to procreate and live there in the forest. So it is all a part of nature. We need to live in harmony with nature and at the same time protect ourselves from enemies and aggression. That is why we need police and army. There are aggressive elements all over the world. Each country has to defend itself. Last year, the USA alone spent $725 billion on national defense. It's about 11% of federal spending. Even though India has never invaded any other countries have fought against India. So India also needs to defend itself. So they have a modest budget of about $50 billion. So those who cause terror and harass innocent people are inherently not interested in ethics and morality. History shows that leaders who are arrogant with power do not respect righteous behavior or dharma and social order. Stories of Mahabharata and Ramayana tell us of such leaders like Duryodhana and Ravana. And following any peaceful means and ethics with such people is almost impossible. So in such a situation, war is the only solution. So Lalitha Sahasranamam shows the reality. Devi's killing the asuras has to be viewed in the right perspective of killing the bad guys for the sake of protecting the good guys. Dharma samsavanarthaya sambhavami yuge says Bhagavan. So the unpredictable human mind is the main cause for creating many problems in present day world. So Lalitha Sahasranamam is one of the key instruments to help kill the asuras or evil thoughts in our minds in a very simple way. Every nama in Lalitha Sahasranamam is a mantra as mentioned. What is mantra? Manana trayate iti mantra. By repeated chanting, there is less conflict and more peace in the mind. and we get improve ourselves. Don't we say at the end of a slokam, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti? We repeat it 3 times. Peace, peace, peace. When you repeat something so many times, automatically you get peace. So, in this verse, Devarshigana Sangata Stuyamanatma Vaibhava Panda Suravado Chukta Shakti Sena Samanvita. Devarishi means Gana means group, Sankata means assembly. Devi's power is praised by the assemblies of multitudes of devas and rishi. Bhaskar Raya gives one more interpretation. Samkata literally means destruction, is one of the names of hell. To be saved from this hell, or namely Bandasura, Stuyamanatma Vaibhava, she is the soul of Atma and power and devotees. The deeper meaning of Stuyamanatma Vaibhava is explained in Bhaskar Raya. He says in Saiva scripture that Atma alone is praised by the Devas. The universal form of Lalitha, Devi, is itself declared to be the very self. She is not separated from the self. Her power is kind of all-pervading. Next line says, Bandasuravado Chukta Shakti Sena Samanvita. Devi was endowed with the army of various Shaktis for the slaying of Bandasura. So I've explained to you why Devi wanted to kill Bandasura. Now, who was Bandasura? We'd like to know about it. So, the next slide, I'm going to tell you the story of Bandasura. One more story. You know, we all knew earlier that the ashes, Shiva burned Manmata, and there were ashes. So, what happened was when Ganesha, the little child, he saw the ashes of Manmata, he said, let me go and play with it. You know, kids love to play with clay and these kind of, you know, things. They like to soil their hands, unmindful of the dirt. So he played with it and the idol became alive. There are different stories and there are different scriptures giving different versions of Bandasura. But what I am telling you now is what is quoted by Bandasura in Lalitha Upakhana. And in Lalitha Upakhana, it says that Ganesha made an idol of a person, and when Shiva looked at it, he became alive. And Brahma, who was a witness to that, he saw it and said, well done, well done. It is Banda, Banda. And he got the name as Banda. When he imaged, Banda was a good person. He worshipped Shiva, and Shiva is Asutosh. He grants wishes immediately. So he gets very pleased, and he showered him with boons. Shiva gave him lots of boons, and he said that I want to get off the strength of my enemies while fighting, and none of the weapons would have any effect on me, and so on. And after he got all his powers, power corrupts, as they say, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. He became very arrogant. And because he also sprang from Rudra, he had very fierce qualities. And he became so arrogant that he started harassing the Devas. And the Devas were not able to face him. And he had Shankaracharya as guru, Sukracharya as his guru. And he built many armies and no one dared to fight with him. So Indras and Devas, they performed the yajna, which paved the way for Devi to appear from the Homa Kundam. So Devi Garya Samudjata, Devi came up to fulfill the wishes of Devas to kill Bandasura. So that is, in short, the story of Bandasura, who started giving trouble to the Devas. Now we go to Sotra 25. Sampatkari Samaruda Sindura Vrajasevita Ashvaruda Dishtitasva Koti Koti Viravrata. Here, Devi's army and her strengths are described here. You know, in every country, every organization or community, there is always a hierarchy. You take a country, there is a president or prime minister, or if you have a company, there is a president, chief CEO or COO or whoever it is, and they're all supported with the staff. So even in a flat management structure, you have an informal hierarchy where someone calls the shots. So in defense, the line of command is most important to ensure discipline. And orders of superior officer not followed, there could be a court-martial. So there is a defense minister and a chief of armed forces supported by army, navy, air force. In each of these, there is a clear hierarchy. In army, you have ranks from second lieutenant going up to the general. Likewise, in air force, starting from a pilot officer, it goes up to air marshal, and so on. And army has got many divisions like infantry, tank brigades, corps of engineers, and so on. So in ancient days, they had the defense forces mainly in four different groups, what they call Ratha, Gaja, Turaka, Patati. Ratha means chariots, which is equivalent to modern tanks, you can say. Chariots, Ratha. Gaja means elephants, army of elephants. Turaka, Patati. Turaka is horses. And Patati, Patam means walk, you know, like soldiers. Like in chess, you have pawn. Chess is exactly identical. You have the rook, you have got the bishop of the chariot, you have a minister and a king, and so on. So here Devi had several commanders under her. So the Brahmanda Purana describes various powerful military commanders who accompanied Devi. And the Devi's Shaktis are described here. Sampatkari Samaruda means attended by a herd of elephants conducted by Sampatkari. Sampatkari is the chief leading the elephants. She is a deity about whom Swatantra Tantra says there is a certain Vidya called Sampatkari, which is unimaginable power. This goddess is described in Lalitha Upakhana as the head of elephants belonging to Devis. You know, she sprang from the Angusha, the elephant god of the Supreme Lalitha, which I mentioned earlier. You know, to control elephants, you need Angusham, small spear. So Sampatkari herself came from the Angusha of Devi, and she rode on the elephant called Rana Koli Hila. So Rana Koli Hala, which means absolutely delighting in war. Ranam. Ranam means actually war. Kolahalam, you know, Kolam, enjoying war. You see her picture on the slide here, where she is riding on the elephant, and thousands of elephants followed her. Sindura Vrajasevita. Sindura here means elephants. There are many kinds of elephants, you know, named Patra, Mandra, Mriga, and so on. Ashvaruda, Dishtitasva, Kodi, Kodi, Viravrita. Lalita Devi is surrounded by Koti, crores of horses led by Ashvaruda. Ashva itself means horse. Aruda in Sanskrit means seated on Ashva, which is rider. Ashvaruda is a goddess, and she is the mistress of the horses of Devi. So you see her picture on the slide here. So Ashvaruda sprang from the noose or pasam of Lalita Devi, and she rode in front with a great speed on a horse which is called Aparajita. And crores of horses followed her. Horse itself denotes power. You know, the rook in chess is very powerful. It can jump over other players. In fact, chess or Chaturanga was invented in India. Even now, the power of an engine or a motor is described in horsepower. horsepower, right? Now, how is a horse controlled? By the reins. Their long straw nips are attached to the horse's mouth. So it is quite logical that Ashwaruda emerged from Devi's rope of Pasam. So here, Dasaraya adds also a philosophical meaning that senses are also called as horses. Don't we experience our senses running fast like horses? You go into a restaurant and your sense of taste runs high. We can't decide whether to order masala dosa or idli vada or pongal. You see a horrific scene in the TV like people getting shot or dying due to COVID. Our sense of fear runs high. So every day we experience senses of joy and also sorrow. These go up and down. So Aruda is the rider considered to be the controller of senses. And mind is a jockey of the horse. The mind alone can control the senses. So Devi is seated as the jockey in the mind. So Devi directs our senses. How can we harness the power of mind? Through mantra Shakti. Every word I mentioned in Lalitha Sahasranamam is a mantra. So we will go to the next slide here. Chakraraja Radharuda Sarva Yuta Parishkrita Keya Chakraraja Mantrani Parisevita. Chakraraja is seated in the chariot called Chakraraja. Now Devi is armed with all the weapons. The Lalitha Upakyanam, she describes several types of chariots. Mainly they include three types. One is Chakraraja, the second is Geya Chakra, and third one is Kiri Chakra. Chakra itself means wheel. And Chakraraja is the foremost among these three. And it is the best of chariots, which belongs to the great queen in 10 yojanas in height and 4 in circum. Yojana is a measure of distance or length, with Ananda flag on top of it. Chakraraja also can meaning Sri Chakra. Bhaskaraya says that Chakraraja Ratha may be taken as one word meaning the siddhi called Chakra Sattva, or power of controlling the chakra. We saw Devi herself described as Sri Chakra Raja Simhasaneshwari, right? So Chakra Raja is the most powerful, which is written by Devi herself. Geya Chakra is the next best chariot with huge wheels. It is driven by a deity called Mantrini. Geya means very important or to be praised. Mantrini is another name for Shamala Devi. Mantrini with her army worships Devi, and she is also a commander who is riding the Geya Chakra. And Kiri Chakra. Kiri Chakra means what? Which is coming in the next one. Kiri Chakra Radharuda Dandanata Puraskrita Jwala Malini Kakshitha Vanni Prakara Madhyaka Jwala Malini Kakshipta Vanni Prakara Madhyaka. She is preceded by Dandanada, who rides the chariot Kiri Chakra. Kiri means a boar, a wild pig, a boar. The chariot is called Kiri Chakra, which is also in the form of a boar. It may also mean that it is drawn by boars. And Dandanada, she is the goddess Varahi. You can see the picture here. She is called Dandanada because she is always carrying a rod, Danda in her hand. And Kiri Chakra is also one of the best chariots. Where the chariot Chakra Raja is there, Geya Chakra is also there, and Kiri Chakra is also there. The three chariots are equivalent to what you call the modern powerful armored tanks. They can launch missiles. So Jwala Malini Kakshipta Vanni Prakara Madhya, she resides in the centers of a fortress or fire constructed by Jwala Malini. Jwala itself means fire, It is the Nitya city of Chaturdashi, the 14th day of the lunar month, Jwala Malini. Akshipta means destroying. Vanni Prakara means sparks of fire. And Madhyaya means sitting in the center. So in battles, fire is often used to scare off the enemies. So in the Brahmanda Purana, it said Devi asked Jwala Malini to protect the great army by constructing the fortress of fire. And Jwala Malini built it and is performing the task of protecting Devi, who resides right at the center of the fort of fire. So that is the meaning of Jwala Malini Kakshita Vanni Prakaramatyaga. Let's go to the next verse, 28. Vanta Sainyavadautukta Shakti Vikramaharshita Nitya Parakramatopa Nirikshana Samutsuka. Vanta Sainyavadautukta Shakti Vikramaharshita. She is delighted at the activities of all Shaktis that are prepared to destroy the army of Banda. The Shaktis here refer to various goddesses, including Nakuli. Nitya Parakramatopa Nirikshana Samutsuka. She is rejoicing, looking at the rising valor or braveness or courage of the Nityas. Who are these Nitya? Nitya Parakramatopa. Well, let me explain. Now, in Hinduism, we considered moon as a devata. It's a planet in astrology. And Purusha Suktam says, Chandravamana Sojataha Chaksho Suryo Ajayata Mukha Tintras Agnischa Pranas Vajurajayata. Emerged from the great mind of great Purusha. Moon has a power over mind. It is responsible for the soundness of our mind. Mind and moon are closely connected. We feel very happy on full moon days. In fact, romantic, I would say. Moon rules the mind and our emotions. Amavasya is dark and moons are down. The term lunatic, which is meaning a madman, comes from the word lunar, which is the adjective for moon. So our Shastras believe in the spiritual and cosmic influence by the phases of moon. The moon starts off waxes and wanes. There are 15 days between Purnima and Amavasya, and each lunar phase is called a Tithi. It is ruled by a Nitya. By the way, I want to say how the Sanskrit word Atithi has come. Atithi means guest, which is opposite to Tithi. Tithi, Atithi. If you put a, it becomes opposite. Atithi. Which means a guest can come anytime without notice. Beautiful Sanskrit, huh? Atithi, guest can come anytime. So the culture of the great Sanatana Dharma have influenced. Nityas are Kameshwari, Bhagamalani, Verunda, Parivasani, Mahavachareshwari, and so on. They are presiding over the 15 days of the lunar month. The worship of Nitya Deva you can find. You have the greatness of the Devis are connected with the phases of the moon. And each Nitya has our own mantra, yantra, and tantra, and they have ritual applications. The Nityas also denote the Kala Chakra, or the wheel of time, The Sri Chakra, there are 15 Nityas present, the innermost circle, and Devi is right in the center. These 15 Nityas rule the famous 15 letters Devi mantra is known as Panchadashakshari. Panchadashakshari. You see the picture there are Panchadashakshari. A very powerful mantra. It should be directly from a guru, you should acquire it. In army, a commander is always happy with the morale of the soldiers very high. So here, Devi actually rejoices. Samutsuka means she is very happy at the raising Parakrama, the valor of the Nityas. So she's very happy about that. The next line, verse reads, Pantaputra Vadotukta Bala Vikramanandita Mantrinyamba Virachita Vishanka Vadatoshita. Pantaputra Vadotukta Bala Vikramanandita. she's actually very happy in the valor of Bala, who was ready to kill the sons of Banda. Who is Bala? You see the picture on the side in the slide. In Sanskrit, Bala means a child. It means a child of Lalitha Devi. She's always shown as a young 9-year-old daughter of Devi. Bala is a child version of Devi herself. When she heard this, Bala heard about the fight against Bandasura, she showed a lot of interest. And like most children are, she was overcome by curiosity. And she asked Devi, "Can I fight this?" She said, "What is this? You are a child. How can you fight?" No, I can't fight. Please give me permission. So Devi saw she had a firm mind and she said, "Okay, I give you permission." And not only that, she gave her armors and some weapons and sent her off. And Devi Bala, she killed all the 30 sons of Bandasura from Chaturbahu to Payamaya. That was her victory. The next line, Mantrinyamba Virachita Visanga Vasatoshita. Mantrini is, Devi is delighted at the destruction of Vishanga, which was effected by Mantrini, by Mother Mantrini. Mantrini is Shamalamba. Vishanga and Vishukra are the two brothers of Banda who actually emerged from his shoulders. Vishanga, Shanga means attachment. Vishanga means no attachments. He has no attachment whatsoever. Visha also means poison, you know. It is perceiving all the objects with a poisoned view. So here, the Bandasura, he created these Vishanga and Vasura, and Mantrini, she killed these Vishanga and the Toshita. They're two brothers, Vishanga and Vishukra, both of them. So going to the next verse, which is 30. Right. Vishukra Prana Harana Varahi Veera Nandita Kameshwara Mukaloka Kalpita Sri Ganeshwara. Vishukra Prana Harana Varahi Veera Nandita. You know, Devi was very happy at the strength of Varahi. She took the life of Vishukra. She mentioned another brother of Bandasura, Varahi, is a goddess. He is also known as Dandini. I mentioned before Dandanada, Dandini. So, Kameshwara Mukaloka Kalpita Sri Ganeshwara. Ganeshwara, Sri Ganeshwara, he was formed by merely Devi's lances at Kameshwara. You see the picture on the side there, Devi and Kameshwara. Kameshwara Mukhaloka, by just looks alone, Ganeshwara was formed. Now what happened? Why Ganeshwara? You know what happened in army, you have a term called strategy. And Bandasura had a strategy because he was seeing that his army was getting destroyed. So what he did, he set up a yantra, what is called Jaya Vignam, which is obstruction. Vignam means obstruction to victory. It is a magical figure of 8 angles and 8 tridents and so on, in the midst of Devi's army. So when this yantra was kept, what happened? The army of Lalitha Devi started losing their self-confidence. It broke the morale of Devi's army. So this yantra had to be removed to restore the confidence of Devi's army. And how can you remove this from? Only a person who was won over Urja Ashtakam, which is the knowledge of 8 components, can do this. And Ganeshwara is the only person who can do that. Ganeshwara itself, Gana and Ishwara. Gana, it is a city formed of 8 things of Purya Ashtakam, which is 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Jnanendriyas, 4 Manas, 4 Pranas, 5 Bhutas, Kama, Karma, Vidya. and Ishvara, the Lord. So Ganeshwara was the person who had these total components of Puryashtakam are 27. And with this, if you take the attribute of Shiva, it comes to 28. The Mula Mantra of Mahaganapati is also 28. So this Ganeshwara was formed by a mere glance of Devi on Shiva, on Kameshwara, and then he was capable of removing Jaya Vignam. And the obstacle of fetters around the Devi's army was removed, and the confidence of Devi army was restored. Here is a lesson in this, that life is full of obstacles. Winning them requires human effort backed by intelligence. And this effort requires building of knowledge. In fact, science is helping us in this regard. For example, do you have a hunger obstacle? How do you overcome? By finding food? Food is made with various ingredients, which are grown and produced through various means. You have fertile soil, plowing, planting, guarding from pests, harvesting, transportation, all in the supply chain, serving humanity. So it pleases Devi if all are fed well and they grow these crops intelligently and feed people. That's why Annadanam is especially highlighted in our Sastras. Going to the next verse, 31, Maha Ganesha Nirbhinna Vigrayantra Praharshita Banda Surendra Nirbukta Sastra Pratyasa Varshini. Sastra. I'm sorry. Banda Surendra Nirbukta Sastra Pratyasa Varshini. Devi is delighted at the breaking of the obstacle of Yantra by Mahaganesha. Mahaganesha Nirbhinna Vigna Yantra Praharshita. Because Ganeshwara, he broke that Yantra, she is very happy, no doubt. Banda Surendra Nirmukta Satra Pratyasa Varshini. Now Devi is showering missiles in response to the weapons thrown by Bandasura. There's a difference between Sastram and Astram. Sastram is the one which strikes the enemies. It is always held in hand, like you throw. And Astra is that which is thrown out or discharged by the hand. Shastra is like a missile. And Astra is what is thrown like an arrow from a bow. And it is discharged by the power of hand. So, in this case, both Shastra, Pratyastra, both are used. Going further to the next slide, 32, the verse 32. Karangulina Kotpanna Narayana Dasakriti Mahapashubharatagni Nirtakta Surasainika. Karanguli Nakotpanna Narayana Dasakriti. Kara Anguli. Anguli means, the fingers. Nako. Nakam is nails. From the nails of our 10 fingers spraying the 10 forms of Narayana. You can see the picture here. 10 forms, Dasakriti of Narayana. It refers to the 10 avatarams. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Bhararama, Krishna, until. It's supporting the theory of evolution, synchronizing with Darwin's theory of evolution. From fish to human, progressing through various stages. So the Asuras here, which included various people like Somaka, Ravana, Bali, Hiranyaksha, they are all known to have fought several battles who had their origins, and then in order to destroy these Asuras, Devi created from her finger ends the 10 incarnations of Vishnu in a regular order from a right thumb to the left small finger. So, Maha Pashupata Astragni. She burnt up the army of Daityas. Daityas means sons of Diti, with the fire of the Astra called Mahapashupatam. With that, she burnt the army of Daityas. And the last verse for the day. Kameswara sa nirtakta sa bandasura sunyaka Brahmopendra Mahendradi Deva Samsuta Vaibhava. Bandasura, with his army, was burned up by the fire or the weapon of Kameshwara, Kameshwara Astra, by the weapon of Kameshwara. This great weapon of Kameshwara that killed the mighty Asura, the fierce and wicked Bandasura. By the flames from this weapon, his city became empty. He had nobody. That's why he called Shunyaka. Shunyaka means zero, emptiness. All the women, children, cattle, wealth, all burnt up. And only the place remained. The city became empty. And so the name Sunyaka is quite justified here. Brahmopendra Mahendradi Deva Samsuta Vaibhava. A supreme power. Devi's supreme power. These priests gave us Samsuta Vaibhava. By whom? Brahma, Vishnu, Mahendra, Adi. Brahma, Pendra, Mahendradi. Everybody, all other deities, they all started praising. All the deities, including Devendra, they were mighty happy with his victory. That was what they prayed Devi, isn't it? Devakar, Samudjata. They wanted Devi to kill Bandasura who was harassing them. So Devi did the job, completed, mission accomplished. So thus ends the story of Bandasura. By Devi, she killed the Bandasura. So with that, we are stopping today.
Mangalam Guru Shri Chandramauleeshwar ke Shakti Ganapati Sharadambigai Shankaracharya ke Shakti Ganapati Mahaganapati Sharadambigai ke Kala Bhairavar ke Kali Durgai ke Veera Dheera Shura Hanuma Maruti Charanatirke Mallikarjunarke Selva Janardanarke Amba Bhavani Kambada Ganapati Chandi Chamundi ke Shri Krishna Bhagavan ke Shri Chakravasini ke Sita Rama Lakshmana Sahita Maruti Charanatirke Vidyaranyar ke Vidyashankar ke Vagishwari ke Vajradega Garuda Anjaneyar ke Shri Valli Deva Sena Sameta Subramanyar ke Tungabhadrai ke Shringanivasini ke Shringeri Puriyil Nilaithirukkum Engal Sharadambigai ke Satchidananda Shiva Abhinava Nrisimha Bharati ke Shri Chandrasekhara Bharati Guru Sarva Bhaumar ke
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you again. Until we meet next month. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Om Sri Matre Namaha.